Every year at IFA, Samsung unveils one of the most awaited smartphones of the year, the new Note smartphone. The first Galaxy Note smartphone was met with a lot of criticism from many users and bloggers alike for being too big and being too similar to the Galaxy S2 in many aspects. Many predicted that the device would fail. Since then, the Note series has come a long way. The Galaxy Note 5 is the fifth iteration in the Galaxy lineup of devices. It is probably the best example of the kind of engineering and power packed smartphones that Samsung is able to produce. This year, Samsung announced the Note 5 earlier than usual prior to IFA, which is its usual stomping ground, in an attempt to enter the market prior to the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. It doesn't take a genius to guess that the Note 5 is a part of the Galaxy Note series of smartphones. The design does immediately remind you of it. Over the years, the design has changed in several different ways, but the Note 5 is probably the biggest change in design language since the Note 2. The Note 5 uses the same basic shape and design of the Note 4 and combines it with the materials and aesthetics of the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. The Note 5 is primarily made of glass and metal, and that really attributes to the build quality. The entire device feels premium, and while the Note 4 was a step in the right direction, the Note 5 is probably the first device that we can say is worth the premium rate that Samsung charges for it. For years, Samsung has been criticized for their materials used for their devices. Not that the build quality had issues, but the materials used was majorly comprised of plastic, which some people felt didn't feel as premium in comparison to say what Apple offered with their phones or HTC offered with the One series. The Note 5 feels really good to hold in your hands thanks to the curved back design, although it is very slippery owing to the use of glass at the back. The same reason makes it quite prone to fingerprints as well, which is probably where the white or silver version would be slightly better as they don't show the fingerprints as much. The overall size of the phone is slightly smaller than the Note 4 in terms of footprint, as the Note 5 is slightly shorter and over 2 mm narrower than the previous generation. It is also an entire millimeter thinner than the Note 4. So even though it is still quite a big handset as it houses a 5.7-inch screen, it is much easier to handle than most other phablets. In fact, the Note 4 had a screen to body ratio of 74.2%, but the Note 5 has a screen to body ratio of 75.9%, which sounds even more impressive once you come to know that the G3, which is probably one of the most compact phablet smartphones of all time internationally, has a screen to body ratio of 75.3%. Up front, you have the display above which there is an earpiece, notification LED, ambient light and proximity sensors, as well as the 5 megapixel front facing camera. Below the display, you have the physical home button, which is clickable and houses a fingerprint sensor, along with the capacitive keys for return and multitasking. At the right side, you have the power/lock key, and at the left, you have the volume rocker button. Both these sets of keys are easy to press and offer good tactile feedback. At the top, you have the secondary microphone as well as the SIM card slot, which can also house two SIMs if you have the dual SIM variant. Interestingly, Samsung has removed the IR blaster from both the Note 5 as well as the S6 Edge Plus, which may disappoint some users, and even we are puzzled as to what the reason is behind the omission. Things get quite busy at the bottom as it houses the 3.5 mm audio jack, micro USB port, speaker grill, primary microphone, and the S Pen slot. At the back, you have the 16 megapixel camera along with LED flash and the heart rate sensor. The back panel and battery are non-removable for the first time in the Note series. The battery also has gone down in capacity as it is now a 3000 mAh unit compared to the 3230 mAh unit on the Note 4. However, the device does get wireless charging by default. The Note 5 is available in black sapphire, white pearl, silver titanium, and gold platinum colors. As with the case of every Note smartphone from Samsung, the display remains the main attraction on the Note 5 as well. The display size and resolution remains the same at 5.7 inches and 1440p resolution, just like on the Note 4. But there is still an improvement that has to be noted. For starters, the Note 5 display is even brighter than the unit on the Note 4, which in turn also improves the sunlight legibility. In fact, the Note 5 is the brightest Super AMOLED screen that we have tested from Samsung. It feels really good to use thanks to the 2.5D Corning Gorilla Glass 4, and the screen size does hit a sweet spot. The viewing angles are great and so are the contrast levels. Colors are mostly vivid and rich. If that isn't your cup of tea, you can easily change it by going to a screen mode and choosing one that's more suited to your liking. The fingerprint sensor is housed neatly inside the home button, Previous generation Samsung devices such as the Note 4 and S5 required the user to swipe from top to bottom along the home button in order to authenticate your fingerprint. Things have changed since then as Samsung incorporated new fingerprint sensors onto the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge smartphones. The user only had to wake up the device by pressing the power/lock key or the home button, after which he or she could simply place their registered finger onto the home button and in a fraction of a second it gets unlocked. This is much faster and more accurate compared to the previous generation smartphones and is comparable to the iPhone and iPad fingerprint sensors. Just like with the case of the display, the S Pen is one feature that Samsung can proudly say is unique to the Note series of smartphones. Samsung made styluses cool again by providing useful features that help increase creativity as well as productivity. Over the years, several other manufacturers have tried to release their own competitors to a Note series or devices that utilize styluses, but none of them have been able to recreate the usability and ease that the Note series possesses. The latest S Pen from Samsung is an evolution of that concept, and it is the first time that the S Pen features a clicking mechanism. The clicking mechanism doesn't have an electronic function as such, but it does have one primary purpose. It allows the stylus to be locked into the phone and allows it to be taken out. Unlike the Note smartphones of the past, the Note 5 doesn't have a groove on the outside of the smartphone that allows you to pull the stylus out. Instead, the user has to click it, which will extend the end of the stylus, which then allows you to pull it out. Once the stylus is out, the user can still click the end of the button, but it serves no particular function. Perhaps it could be used as a stress reliever, but apart from that, it is only used as a locking mechanism. The S Pen makes you much more productive on the go, especially with features such as quick memo, scroll capture, etc. It makes quite a lot of sense to use it. The S Pen has good ergonomics and the weight distribution is good too. We also found that the accuracy is much better than that of the Note 4. The S Pen can also be used to click the capacitive multitasking key and return key, but you will need to use your hand to press the home key. The Note 5 comes preloaded with Android 5.1.1 Lollipop out of the box, along with Samsung's own UI on top. TouchWiz UI always has a bit of customization, but some of the features are quite useful. Motions and gestures are one of the useful features. The Note 5 comes in both single SIM as well as dual SIM variants, and both the variants support 4G LTE as well. The phone comes in both 32 and 64 GB storage models, but Samsung has decided to skip the 128 GB option on both the Note 5 as well as S6 Edge Plus. None of the variants support microSD cards, but Samsung has bundled 100 GB of free cloud storage using Microsoft OneDrive with the Note 5. The device also supports NFC, dual-band Wi-Fi A, B, G, N and AC, and Bluetooth 4.2. The Note 5 is powered by an octa-core Exynos 7420 chipset and has 4 GB of LPDDR4 RAM as well. Performance is buttery smooth and the phone never hung up on us or lagged. There is still some small lag courtesy of TouchWiz, however it isn't as bad as the previous generation of flagship Galaxy smartphones. Although the system itself uses quite a bit of RAM and the RAM management issue still isn't fixed, the device can easily handle several memory-intensive apps at one time. We had no issues when playing heavy games or watching high-resolution video files either. Audio quality is really great on the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. Over earphones, the clarity is really good and the volume is more than enough for any environment that you're in. The dynamic range is really good too, and there is hardly any stereo crosstalk either. The speaker too is loud and clear, and the placement is pretty good too. However, you might accidentally cover the speaker when watching videos in landscape mode, but at least it won't get muffled when you place the phone on its back. The Note 5 carries over the same impressive 16 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization. However, it does get a few enhancements in terms of performance thanks to better image processing, and it receives a few new features in the camera UI. The camera app now supports RAW image capture, YouTube live streaming, and the ability to control the shutter speed manually up to 10 seconds in Pro mode. The camera is even better than the S6 and S6 Edge in certain aspects and is on par with it on other aspects. The image quality and detailing is great, and so is the low light performance. The noise levels are really minimal even in low light, and the ability to shoot images with a shutter speed as slow as 10 seconds means you can capture images in some really low light situations. We hope that Samsung allows up to 30 seconds in a future firmware update. RAW capture really allows you to extract every bit of information out of the image possible, and there is plenty to work with. The Note 5 got a one charge rating of 11 hours and 5 minutes in our battery test. Overall, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is a really capable smartphone that could be called a productivity powerhouse. It has improved a lot over its predecessor, especially in terms of design, build quality, and camera. Sure, two things that have been a part of all Note series smartphones till now, a removable battery and a micro SD card slot, are missing, and that is something that you will have to live with. The high quality Super AMOLED screen, S Pen, superb camera, etc. are things that not every other smartphone can offer. Just like every other Note smartphone, it does come at a premium price, but at least this time you also get a premium design and build quality to go along with those features. The Galaxy Note 5 retails for a price of Rs 53,900 for the 32GB version and Rs 59,900 for the 64GB version. If you're looking for a no-nonsense smartphone that has all the bells and whistles and have a large budget, then you definitely cannot go wrong with this one. Listed here are the pros and cons of the device. If you like the video, do hit the like button and do subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.